All right, here's our epic. Hammer of Twilight, Death Rattle, summon a 4/2 elemental. It's 5 mana for a 4/2 weapon. It's not amazing. Basically, the way you have to think about this card is that you're going to get 2 attacks off with it, and then you're going to get another attack off with your elemental, or just force a trade. It's fine. It's a shaman. It's a shaman card, which it means it's a little overpriced at 5 mana, but you know, it's fine. All right, let me open one more before we reset our capture card here. Trying to go fast with these because we have a lot of packs to go through. Psychotron, hello. This guy is 5 mana for a 3/4 taunt, Divine Shield. Much like his smaller brother, Anoyotron, he's quite frankly really annoying. He's going to survive multiple attacks. It's solid. It's going to be a good arena card. Basically, Ravaging Ghoul, 3 mana for a 3/3 battlecry, deal 1 damage to all other minions. This is sort of the equivalent of the other Ghoul guy, that the 1/3 taunter that does the same thing when it dies. This guy is very, very, very good. He's going to be great in Patron Warrior. He's going to be great in sort of Control Warrior. He basically does everything a warrior wants to do. He's a solid little body for a decent amount of mana. He does 1 damage to both your minions and their minions, so you can proc a lot of various abilities from him. Usher of Souls. Whenever a friendly minion dies, give your Cthulhu +1/+1, and it's 5 mana for a 5/6. This guy's gonna be really strong in Warlock. I haven't seen a whole ton of Warlock cards that I consider particularly strong with Cthulhu, so this guy is sort of a weird option. I'm not seeing a lot of Cthulhu Warlock decks happening, but as always, could be wrong. I could be dumb, so that's always a distinct possibility for me. So moving on to one of the rares in this pack, we got Spreading Madness. It's 3 mana that deals 9 damage randomly split among all characters. Whew. You better be praying to the RNG gods if you're hoping to play this guy. It's not terrible in Warlock because Warlocks don't particularly care about their health. They just like to gain card advantage and board advantage. Unfortunately, this thing can also clear your board advantage. It's risky, but it could be quite strong. Infest, give your minions Death Rattle, add a random beast to your hand. Basically, everything is Little Spider-Man. You're going to be drawing all sorts of beasts. This is actually really crazy value. Basically, depending on how many creatures this card basically reads, draw a card for every single creature you have, or every minion you have in play, and make sure it's a beast. This card's crazy. It's super, super good. Very, very good in Face Hunter. Very, very good in Mid-Range Hunter. It's got a ton of value. Expect to see that a lot. Another all commons and rare. On the Hunt, it's 1 mana, deal 1 damage, summon a 1/1 Mastiff. This is basically it's reverse Elven Archer. It's not good. Elven Archer's not good. This card's not good. You get a beast, that's kind of nice, but that's about it. Hooded Acolytes, we've already discussed that card. Got my producer coming over to mess with stuff. My audio.
Sorry, everyone.
Thank you, Ryan. We've got Divine Strength once again. Twilight Flamecaller. It's 3 mana for a 2/2 battlecry. Deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. He's fine. Freeze Mage will like him. It's a good anti-aggro card. Yeah, he's totally solid. Not a whole lot to say about that guy. Rallying Blade. Battlecry, give +1/+1 to your minions with Divine Shield. This is a Paladin card. There's going to be a lot of cards in this set coming from Paladin that give Divine Shield. So this card is actually fairly solid. It's a 3/2 for weapon for 3 is not terrible. So yeah, no, I could see this guy seeing play. It's basically got 1 less attack than a lot of the Paladin weapons, so it's pretty solid. All right, next pack. Oh, we got an epic in here, an epic and a rare. So Standing Against Darkness, I'm going to be disenchanting all of those because I think that card's terrible. Darkshire Alchemist. It's a 5 mana 4/5, and you can restore 5 health. It's fine. It's good in Arena. It's not going to be... It can see play in some constructed sort of mid-range to control leaning priests, but I don't foresee it seeing a ton of play. Infested Tauren. It's a 4 mana 2/3 taunt. Death Rattle Slime summon a slime, a 2/2 summon apparently. No, summon a 2/2 slime. Is this Death Rattle? It's mini Belcher. It's fine. It doesn't have another. The 2/2 slime does not have taunt, so it's not quite as good as Belcher. And 4 mana for a 2/3 isn't great, but you got to think that you're basically getting 4 mana for a 4/5, which is pretty standard. But 4 mana for a 2/3 with taunt, blah, blah, blah. Mathematically, it's pretty solid. It's a solid card. It's a little expensive for my tastes, however. Scarum Cultist is a battle cry. Give your Cthulhu +2/+2 wherever it is. For some reason, my stream has died. So this guy is pretty solid. I think he's a little expensive for what he is. 6 mana for a 7/6 isn't my favorite thing in the world, but maybe in some Cthulhu decks. There's a lot of Cthulhu cards to choose from. I think there are better options for that sort of end game thing. Okay, so we got Faceless Shambler, which is a 1/1 taunt for 4 mana. However, when you battle cry it out, you copy a friendly minion's attack and health. That friendly minion is key, considering you'll be turning something into a 1/1 that is on your side of the board. I'm not sure how to feel about this card. This card is a really weird one because basically what it reads is summon a 1/1 and then give that other minion taunt, if that makes sense. So it's okay. I would prefer to play just about anything else that gives taunt, personally, but who knows? Again, I'm no expert. I mean, I am an expert, but I'm no pro player. I'm not a professional. All right, what do we got here? We got a bunch of commons and rares. Zealous Initiate, we've already talked about that guy. Squirming Tentacle, hello again. Bog Creeper, again, these two are solid arena picks, but not good elsewhere. Amgam Rager, Magma Rager, but backwards. It's very exciting. Master of Evolution. This is a pack that we've talked entirely about. Would you look at that? Unless you guys would like me to explain some more, but I think we've already discussed most of these. All right, next pack. All right, we've got a bunch of commons and a rare. Zoth's First Mate. Again, really like this card. I think he's gonna be really solid in sort of more aggressive hunter or even doesn't even have to be aggressive. Weapons are very strong in control decks, so that's going to be a very helpful card for a lot of stuff. Bog Creeper again. Fiery Bat, 1 mana, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. This guy is super good. He's going to it's sort of, again, here's another replacement for Leper Gnome. This guy is going to be dropped on turn 1 to deal 1 damage. Great for Face Hunter. It's going to be dropped on turn 2 to ping something. I mean, it's random, but it's 1 mana for 2/1 that deals 1 damage is very solid. So moving on, Twisted Worgen, again, like that card a lot. I think it's going to be very fun. And then our rare for this pack is Silithid Swarmer. It can only attack if your hero attacked this turn. 3 mana for 3/5. It's not good. It would have to be a lot stronger in terms of stats in order for me to want to play it. It's just simply too situational. It just sits there and does nothing if you are unable to attack with your hero. So if you're not playing a warrior class or you're not playing a druid, it makes it, or not warrior class, excuse me, a weapon class. It's going to make it very difficult to get his procs off. I don't foresee him seeing a ton of play. All right, next pack. There's our rare. A bunch of commons and a rare again. Duskboar, 4 mana or 2 mana for a 4/1. Don't play it against Mage. It dies immediately. It's fine in Arena, I guess. Shatter, again, really like that card. I think it's going to do a lot of work. Spawn of Inzoth, once again. Solid in sort of more aggressive minion-heavy decks. Feral Rage. Choose one for 3 mana. Give your hero +4 attack this turn or gain 8 armor. This card is very strong. Both options are very solid. And there's the Druid Legendary that actually allows you to pick both of those options at once. So have fun with that. Excuse me, I had to drink some water there. Probably picked that up on the microphone. That sounded perfectly pleasant, I'm sure. Adult Grizzly. After you summon a minion, give it +1/+1. So this guy, it's sort of weirdly worded. It should read, give that minion +1/+1. It will not be giving the Adult Grizzly +1/+1. So this is a very aggro-focused Druid card, which is, you know, it could be solid. I'm not sure how strong aggro Druid is going to be in this meta. I'm not foreseeing it doing terribly great. I haven't seen a ton of stuff that is going to lead me to believe otherwise. So, you know, it could be fine as a 3-drop. I mean, 3 mana for 2/2 isn't great stats, but we'll see. It could do okay. So moving on to the next pack, I have to reset our thing once again. All right, here we go again. Next pack. Do you guys know that talking about all these packs is actually very consuming of breath? South Sea Squid Face is a 4 mana for a 4/4. It's a death rattle. Give your weapon +2 attack. This is a weapon-based pirate card, as all pirate cards are. So it's in Rogue, which, you know, means that you're gonna have weapons constantly because that's your hero power. He's pretty solid. 4 mana for 4/4 is not perfect stats, but you know, anytime that you're gonna buff up your weapon is a good time for Rogue. I mean, Oil Rogue is gone from the meta, and if only Blade Flurry was still around, this guy would be insane. But Blade Flurry is not as good as it once was, so not super hot. Bladed Cultist, we've already talked about this guy. I really like him. South Sea Squid Face once again. So 2 in the same pack. Whew. Squid Face, also good name. I like it. A Light in the Darkness. Discover a minion. Give it +1/+1. That's for 2 mana. It's basically Paladin's version of Unstable Portal. It's not going to reduce the cost of that minion, but it is going to give them a nice little buff. Anytime you're discovering anything, that is quality value. So I expect to see this card in a few decks here and there. Undercity Huckster, we've already discussed this. Again, you're basically drawing a card every time he dies. So yeah, quite solid. All right, let's check this out here. All right, another. I'm not getting any legendaries this time around, guys. Maybe they're hiding. Feral Rage once again. The card's super solid. Nice. Both choices are quite good. Divine Strength, Holy Strength, magic. Evolved Kobold. I hate this guy. Usher of Souls, again, pretty solid, but I'm not seeing a lot of Warlock decks popping up with Cthulhu. Quite frankly, we'll see what happens. And Spreading Madness again, the RNG of all RNG cards. There's a couple more that we might see coming up. Hopefully, we'll see. I would like to see a few more silly RNG cards, even though, you know, it's RNG. Not everyone's crazy about it. All right, next pack. Starting to move through these now that we don't have to talk about every single card. All right, Infested Tauren. We've already discussed him. He's kind of worst Sludge Belcher. Bye, Sludge Belcher. Not really that sad to see you go. Ravaging Ghoul. Again, we've already talked about him. Carrion Grub. We've talked about that. I've drawn several of those guys. They're not good. Against Darkness, once again, not a great card. Our rare for the pack is Shadow Word Horror. I'm actually quite excited about having 2 of those. I like big board clears as Priest, and that's one of the better board clears when you're going against aggro decks. All right. Moving on. Ooh, two rares in a legend, or 2 rares in an epic. Divine Strength, once again, not good. Twilight Geomancer, also, once again, solid little 2 mana for 1/4 taunter. Gives your Cthulhu taunt, which doesn't really matter, but it's fine. That card will be good for if you're just trying to get to your Cthulhu as fast as possible. Or as safely as possible, I should say. Thing from Below. It is a 6 mana 5/5 taunt, costs 1 less for each totem you've summoned this game. I assume that works. The cost only gets reduced when you are when this card is in your hand. But you know, it could be pretty solid if you draw it relatively early in the game. At the earliest, you'll be able to cast this, I guess, on turn 3 if you coin out a totem. Does that math work out? Turn 4. So 3 mana for a 5/5 on turn 4 is not great, but it's not terrible either. Depends on what other minions you draw in your hand, what other totems you draw in your hand. Scarum Cultist, once again, I think there are better options for Cthulhu cards, but you know, it is what it is. Forbidden Ancient, it is a 1 mana for a 1 mana for a 1/1. However, it gives you +1/+1 for. It gives you +1/+1. Or gives itself. Excuse me. I am losing my ability to talk at the moment. We've been through a lot of packs so far. When it comes into play, you spend all of your mana. It gets +1/+1 for each mana spent. So that in and of itself, it seems kind of bad. But if you think about the fact that it's because if you're spending 7 mana on this thing, 7 mana for 7/7 isn't the best. It's not a great value. However, if you think about this thing as sort of a mana curve fixer, it can be cast at any time, literally any time, and it'll give you a halfway decent stat line for what it is. It's a 2 mana 2/2 or it's a 10 mana 10/10. Both of which are not great stats, but it can be cast as either, and it's pretty valuable in your deck, mathematically. All right, moving on to the next pack. All right, so we got Dustboard. It's a 4 mana or 2 mana for a 4/1. Again, don't fight against mage, dies immediately. On the Hunt, it's Elven Archer, basically. Nerubian Prophet, 6 mana 4/4. At the start of your turn, reduce this card's cost by 1. So yeah, this happens on your turn when it's in your hand. So again, it can be cast on turn 3 for 4/4. The math works out. No, yes, if you open it, draw in your opening hand. Yes. So yeah, it's 3 mana for 4/4. It's okay. It's not great. Polluted Hoarder. It's we've already discussed this guy and the pun surrounding his name. Silithid Swarmer. Again, I'm gonna be disenchanting this card. It's terrible. Bye. Moving on to the next pack here. So what we got here? Still no legendaries, guys. What have I opened? 20 packs, not a single legendary. Great, sweet. Power Word Tentacles is a give a minion +2/+6. This is a worse version of Velen's Chosen. It costs 2 more and does not give. It only gives it 3 more stats, and does not give. It doesn't give spell power, which is kind of a downside, kind of a bummer in that particular regard. We've got Flame Reefed Faceless. It's 4 mana overload 2 for a 7/7. This guy's crazy. This guy is so good. It's gonna stop your next turn. You only have 3 mana on turn 5, or 2 mana on turn 4 if you coin it out. But having a turn 3 7/7, that's pretty good from what I understand. It's gonna establish a huge amount of board control, especially with Big Game Hunter sort of being nerfed into the ground, or not into the ground. It's 5 mana for 4/2 that kills a 7/7. That's not terrible. It's all right. I expect to see a lot of that guy. Divine Strength once again. Hooded Acolyte, we've got approximately 17 of those. Selfless Hero, it's 1 mana for a 2/1 Death Rattle. Give a random friendly minion Divine Shield. Finally, a 1 mana or a nice little 1-drop for Paladin. Very strong. I think this card's going to see a ton of play. And I definitely foresee a lot from this guy.